as usual, as we go, we will have some more friends joining in.
Yeah, I can see many people joining.
Yeah, and our office is also like there are around some 5, 6 people from the office who also join in another room.
Mm-hmm.
My audio is clear to you, Anu? Is it okay?
It's not very clear. I
Ah,
am not sure about mine as well. Like, is it fine?
yeah, yours is fine. Give me just a minute. Okay. Uh, Welcome everybody. This is our seventh episode of Yadam Community Meetup. I'm Krishnan from Yadam Community Madurai. Today we have Anu Sunny with us. Anu is from Kerala, Idukki district. He's an young India fellow. Just to give you an idea, India fellow is one of those coveted credentials or a fellowship in India, which attracts a lot of socially conscious youngsters, and they handpick and train those youngsters over a period of time, and they become big change makers in the process. We are happy to have Anu today. Anu also happens to be a farmer. We will get to know more about her. Welcome, Anu.
Thank you, Krishnan. So, do we start? Like, where do we start now, or do we wait for someone?
Anu, we are very excited to know one thing. I mean, a lot of people are asking the same question. So she is so young, and why is she not working in any company or somewhere in Bangalore or Chennai or Delhi or overseas? What is she doing in Idiki? So
Okay, so I was born and brought up in Idukki, so that is my like first reason to be in Idukki, right? So also my family is majorly into farming, and like I remember even my grandfather was always into like finding the right soil for the right kind of crops, and he's a very dedicated farmer. He still is. It's the same with my father as well. So my father, he completed his engineering and then he came back, like he worked for some time and then he started, like he came back and took over the land that we had. So it was a family thing. So and I think I'm doing something similar to what he's done, but so my interest is mostly on like I've realized that there's a gap here uh, between what the consumer knows about the spices and what the consumer is actually getting from the spices. So what we generally like what is produced in Idukki is the spices which are of like really really good quality, but that is something that does not reach our consumers here in India. So, so I feel that there's a gap between what we make and what we consume. What we produce is really, really good, but we do not end up consuming the same thing. So what I am trying to do here is like one part of it is the livelihood development of the farmers that we are working with, because like most of what we generally see is that the traders are the ones who so traders are very important, but sometimes the farmer does not get what he deserves, right? So that there's a gap there as well, and also there is a gap when it comes to the consumer, like what comes in a packet in a supermarket and what is being sold here. So we are somehow trying to work something in between both, like try to create a balance between the farmer having a peaceful, like stable, financially stable kind of life, and also the consumer getting safe food, especially in case of spices. So generally what we see in spices is that the qualities are generally associated with your health benefits and immunity and things like that. But then it's like we are never sure like what we get in a packet from a uh, say a supermarket or any place for that matter, is it going to give you the same health benefits as it claims or not? So definitely the ones which are naturally grown in the natural habitat. So like we belong to the Cardamom Hills area in Idukki district, but we also know that there is a lot of different varieties of cardamom. There may be like every 10 kilometers may have its own cultivars, and it may have its own indigenous varieties. That is very important to identify and promote in case of a farmer as well. So we are trying to work out a balance between both.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Uh, Give us an idea on what are the spices that your district makes.
Yeah, so Idiki district as such mostly is known for the cardamom, also pepper. Like in India, when we say it is the black pepper from Idiki district, or even for that matter, Wayanad is also not bad. So one thing is the spices. Main spices is cardamom and pepper, and then we also have like a huge area in Idukki district, which is not very close to where we are right now, but it's also it's nutmeg and nutmeg mace. So nutmeg that is like that's like really good quality in Idukki. Otherwise, what grows in this region is tea, coffee, cocoa. Cocoa is like what chocolate is made out of. So these kind of things are what is grown in Idukki. This is also a place which has a great potential for horticulture. So that is also something that is coming up slowly. But when you compare it, definitely when you compare it with the spices, the returns are comparatively low. The risk is higher, and all those kind of things are there. But this is generally a place where many things can be grown, but the spices are of like really like the strength of the flavor is very high, especially from these regions. So that is the kind of spices that is grown here, and also every farmer would have certain spices like clove and ginger and turmeric. All of those things are also there, but these are not cultivated as plantations or even as a 1 acre or a even not even as a 10 cents of land. So this is something that is for their own consumption. Uh, so all of these things are available, but now it's about how do we reach the consumers and how do we like make sure that everybody earns out of it.
No. In the plains, like in plains farming, generally, when we even in the Yadam sessions when we talk with farmers, we get to understand that there is not enough return. Right, most of the time there is not enough return, or there is some other no, not so favorable natural circumstances which gives a better yield. How is it? How is it in the hills? No.
Yeah, so this is something that has happened mainly because of the introduction of certain kind of varieties, mostly the high yielding varieties of either pepper or cardamom or nutmeg, any of the spices. When it's a high yielding variety, it's not necessary that it is like it can adapt to the climatic conditions of every region. It may be suitable for certain regions, but it's not necessary that it is going to be adaptable to all the regions. And the certain ways of the kind of like external chemicals or fertilizers that you need to provide to the plant, it may or may not be something that a normal. So most of the farmers here are like small farmers, right? So it's not necessary that all of them are able to give the same kind of inputs to the farm which may sustain that particular hybrid variety. So major thing is that to find the right variety of plants, it may be in case of cardamom or it may be in case of pepper, to find the right variety which suits their land. So that reduces a lot of say the risk and lot of losses which is for the farmers. So for example, when it comes to pepper, something that we figured out is that, so we live at an elevation of 1,000 meters, like and which is also the same. There's also some like a farmer community that works here, like mainly to produce chemical free vegetables, also the spices which comes with it. So basically what we have figured out here is there's one variety of pepper which is called karimunda. So that is some like cultivar which has been like over the years developed by farmers in this space. There's no kind of like formal research of things that have gone into it, but that is some variety that has proved to be like the best in flavor. And it even the tree like even the plant does not need any kind of free plant and things like that. Even if there is say there is a cyclone, still the plant may like the base of the basic like the mother plant may just survive even that. So basic idea is that you to find that indigenous variety which will like which is perfect for your location. So that's something that I can tell all the farmers. So the same thing works for even say cardamom.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Anu, we from Yadam, right, we try to work with producers directly. We try to get them get good quality food products for families everywhere, right?
Okay.
So, my concern when it comes to getting the right products is how do I know that the food has come from a particular place? Like in your case, I'll show you
Mm-hmm.
this thing. So this is an interesting that you have sent to us, right? So this
Okay.
is pepper.
Huh.
I'm sorry, this may not be very clear. This is pepper that we got from Anu by courier today, right?
Oh, okay. You received
So
it.
yeah, this is your pepper that is in my hands today. Uh, so how do I know that this is grown locally in Idiki? Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I think the one which we have sent you a sample, so that is the same Karimunda variety.
hmm,
And so let's just not talk about the variety like what is being sent. So any variety for that matter, if the harvest is right
hmm,
for a certain crop, so in case of pepper, the berries have to be matured enough
hmm,
or ripe, it has to be reddish. So the one which we have sent you, you would see that it is on the coffee brown kind of color. It's not exactly black, it may be like a little bit like towards a reddish
hmm,
shade. That's because it is ripe pepper that is harvested. So what we did for the past 2 years, what we have been doing is to pick pepper from, so the picking starts from January and it goes on till mid May. So
hmm,
which means it's a very long harvesting period, right? So otherwise generally it used to be like you start in January, you finish in January, and it's just one or two kind harvesting that happens. So major thing is that to understand. So in case of pepper, let me tell you, black pepper is not may not be the right thing, right? So it can be like slightly on the brownish side. So then you are sure that it is the flavors, everything is on the higher side. And definitely depending on the variety of the pepper breed, like the cultivar which is there, and also the elevation, it will change flavors. So you have to like, as in case of consumers, what we would say is that it's important to stick to the flavor that you like. That
hmm,
is one thing. And also understand where is it coming from. So the effort, when you're looking at safe food, there is certain effort that we can do at the producer level, or even at so since we are also like little bit into the sales and promotion of these kind of products, because since we work with farmers. So what I would suggest for a consumer is that it's very, very important to invest little bit of your time, and maybe like once in your lifetime, to understand where your food is coming from. Like understand means it can be even you call up the person. So since if I have sent it to you, so you call me up and ask like what is it, and you try to understand the food that you're consuming. That is one major thing, to understand where is it actually coming from, and where is this farmer producing it, what is he doing, and things like that. So it's majorly into engaging with the producer and understanding what the producer's needs are also.
hmm,
So that is one part. The other thing is also, then it goes back to, if you're looking at a higher like a large number of people, then I would say that the information which goes on even your packaging, or sometimes what is the communication that you do to your consumer, or what reaches the consumer, is very important. So for example, when we send something like, so since we also do tea, so certain things like that, tea has a certain way of storing, right? So if you keep it outside, it's not going to be of any use after 2-3 hours. So same thing works for pepper as well. So most of the spices, this is like something which is very, very common for all the, I would say for almost all the spices, that it's important to keep it away from moisture or light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like both of this can affect the flavor of whatever spice that you're using. So for a consumer, somebody who is just buying spices, and one thing is when it comes to pepper, so there's one way that we have figured out how you can find out if your pepper is like really, if it is good quality and something that has a good shelf life, is put some pepper in plain water, and you would, if you see so many of them floating on top, then you're sure that the quality is low. The ones which have a good liter weight, that will sink, and that is the best pepper. So in one packet itself, you may have both.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Yeah. So
Uh, should it also be, how do you judge by the color? Because generally, when you look at export quality or what they say as best looking pepper, it is evenly black. Right? Should it be even?
yeah, yeah. So that it also depends on what was available, right? So when you're saying, when you're setting these standards for even exports or even selling it in a like any market for that matter, the people who have set the grades and set the whole idea of this is what has to be export quality, it is not a farmer. Definitely it's not somebody who is producing it or associated with the producers, right? So it is always going to be the trader. So easiest way of doing it was to find out the bigger grade. So now if I tell you like what is the sorting process, so the sorting process of pepper is generally to uh, basically you just use a mesh and separate the sizes. So that is a sorting process. But certain indigenous varieties of pepper uh, would be smaller in size. The
Hmm.
flavor would be much higher than all the hybrid varieties. And also there's one more thing which, when it comes to pepper, there's one thing that if you see a bigger pepper, so comparatively the size is bigger in the lot, so you try to like cut it into half and see, so there may be a hole inside. So that's something that we have observed throughout. So we have seen that the pepper, if it is big pepper, like you see the like pepper clove is big, then you just cut and see that definitely that is going to have a hole inside. So which is something that, it's only for appearance, right? So the size is something that's for appearance, the color is for appearance, but at the end of it, for a consumer, what matters is uh, the benefits that comes out of it and the flavor. And if it, so let's say that you use the pepper for rasam, so your major thing is towards the flavor and the taste that comes of it, right? So that same thing applies for all the spices. So let's say cardamom. Cardamom is something, we call it green cardamom, like, right? So that is what we get in the market. So what has happened is this market requirement has also done a lot of things in the producer side. Like all the farmers here. So since I come from a region where cardamom is grown extensively, so one thing that I would say is that, so when so there was this thing of grading. When you say grading and export quality, the major thing was you get higher prices if the cardamom pods are bigger. So then people went for certain varieties which has high yield, and also the size of the cardamom pod is big. Now the problem with that is naturally it may not be an 8 size, right? So or 8 bolt, whatever they say. So it may be a cardamom plant which has a capacity to produce something which is 5 but you are trying to create an 8 out of it by like feeding all the hormones and other things, polyfeeds and things into it, right? So that the problem that has happened here in the producer level is that this like these are the small farmers, so they would generally apply all these pesticides and hormones and everything that you get from a store directly into the farm. They may not look at what is the proportion that is needed and all that. So this has created some other issue here, which is this cardamom growing region is slowly becoming into a place where there is a lot of diseases, like including cancer and like, since these are like growth hormones that is put into the plant, and you are also living in the same land, you're consuming the water that comes from the same land. Sometimes you're working too much in contact with the plant and the pesticides and hormones and other things. So this region has become a space where there's a lot of cancer patients, which is a big problem here. that is something which happened because of the market demand and the kind of these kind of let's say the norms that is kept, that this is the best cardamom. And also there's another thing which goes into this adulteration part of green cardamom. So there's no, if you just pick the cardamom from a land which does not have, it is like, so there's cardamom even in the forest. So if you're just picking it from there and then you dry it, it's dried, like it's dried in a dryer. So when you dry it, the cardamom that comes out of it, some of it would be yellowish, some of it may even be white. Yeah. So these kind of like it may not look very even, right? And it some of it may be open, some of it may be and close. It, the sizes can vary from even 3 mm to 5 mm to maybe some 1 or 2 maybe of 8 mm. All that will happen. But what we see in a packet is one size, which is perfectly fine. So you can just grade it through a mesh and you would get that size. But color, so I live in a village, right? So in my village, in the smallest store here, we get food color, the green food color. Because since that is a market requirement and the price of cardamom is dependent a lot on the color of what you're producing, people have started using like food color before drying. So you mix it with food color and then dry it. So definitely it is going to be green, whatever happens. And with cardamom, one thing is it absorbs the color inside. So it would not even come out when if you even try to wash the cardamom after it dries. So these are the kind of things that has happened in the producer level. So I mean, like that. So this thing, what is being applied as norms for the market requirement, it affects the farmers also, and it also affects everybody who is consuming it in whichever form. So basically, anything that is a market requirement, or it depends on it completely depends on the market requirement. Like any adulteration, any kind of like bad practices that is being done, like all those is only because of the market requirement and what the people demand for and what is going to pay the consumer, like pay even the farmer.
Interesting, Anu, because I was looking at the cardamom sample that you have sent. Right. So there is one which is unsorted. I guess that is
Yeah,
not
so
sorted based on sizes and all. So as you can see, there is one which is greenish. There is one which has a little bit of brownish shade in
yeah.
there. Right. So I wonder, I mean, like a plant can only give an output like this, right? How can it be evenly green all the
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, so even so the cardamom which do not have this external food colors and things that is added to the product. So what happens is it also like within a month or two, if it is exposed to light, the color would turn, like the green color would just disappear. That may not be the case with the ones which have food color added to it.
Okay, okay. No, what we'll do is, I'm now curious about the other things I have sent. Some of them I've never seen before also. So for the benefit of everyone here, I will share some more spices that Anu has said, and we will talk about it briefly. And after that, we will get into question mode where we will ask. We already have requested people, participants, to ask their questions in the chat box. We also have people who have asked questions when they registered itself.
Yeah.
So we will go to that. So I have this thing which I already know. Cloves, right? Okay. So what is this? Is this a plant or is this a tree or what?
So this is a tree. Clove and nutmeg are trees. Pepper is a creeper. It needs an external support. So and then cardamom is a plant. So clove is not grown commercially in this region, but every farmer has at least one clove tree, which may be like a good 5 to 6 years old. So that came through, I think that came through some schemes, government schemes. So the like saplings are distributed and everybody has at least one of it. And the quality of clove from like Kerala generally is, it is good. It may not be the best in the world, but it is good. Clove also, again, the quality of clove depends on when it is harvested and how many times it is being harvested in a year. So we do a 3 times harvest for clove. So which means it gives you the right. So with in case of clove, what happens is if it is too tender, then it does not have much flavor. If it is too ripe, even then it does not have much flavor. So you just need to like pick it at the right time. So that's a major thing with clove. And since it is not a commercially grown product here, there's no adulteration for sure. Like literally nobody cares for it. When the crop is there, then they just pick it and sell it. That's what happens with clove. So, but with clove, the thing is, it does not lose its flavors very easily. The flavor generally is there even if you keep it open for some time. And even the clove leaves have some similar flavor. So in some places I've heard that clove leaves are also used in tooth powder and things like that.
Yeah. So
That's
I
clove.
think the moment I open then a small kid over here just said that this is there in toothpaste.
Okay.
I think that is how that is introduced. What is this? No, this
Oh yeah.
edible looking thing.
So that is nutmeg. Yeah. So in like I think mostly in India it is used as a medicinal product. Like you use it when you have some issues with your digestion or like sleeping disorders and things like that. But so nutmeg is used in many European countries on a daily basis. So like even if we produce nutmeg, we use it generally as a medicine. That is our use for nutmeg as nutmeg seed. Then you also may have the nutmeg maize, the red maize which is there. So that is used in, yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah. So
Jellyfish looking thing.
yeah, but yeah, so that's a fresh one. So that is why it is red in color. It automatically changes the color from red to yellow over a period of 2 to 3 months, which is perfectly normal. Yeah. So nutmeg is also grown here. Like there are people who grow it commercially, but that is outside the Cardamom Hills region. So that's somewhere close to like 700 meters of elevation. So nutmeg and cocoa is grown as an intercrop in many places in Kerala. Um, yeah, so nutmeg is something that you should depend on mostly when it is like associated with some kind of health issue and mainly digestion related issues, or if you have a sleeping disorder, some things like that. So yeah, so nutmeg is there, and please do not consume nutmeg in like higher quantities, not more than 1/8 of a seed in a day, because that can also create a lot of complications. Yeah, there's something called nutmeg intoxication as well.
Anyone know of an Tamil and Hindi word for nutmeg? Probably can.
I think it is called jaifal.
Huh.
Yeah, that is. I think that is in Hindi. I think it's called jadikai, right? Jadikai in Tamil.
Jadikai, Jadipatri.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. So this is the jadikai, right?
Jadikai, nutmeg, and நீங்க காமிச்சீங்கல்ல அந்த பூ அது வந்து ஜாதிபத்ரி.
Jadipatri. Okay, interesting.
So actually, the harvest of nutmeg is also it is throughout the year. So that's also very, very important. It's done very carefully, and even so to a certain extent, the seed does not get affected too much. But to get a real good quality nutmeg maize, that may be an issue. That's something that needs to be taken care very, very much. So so you look at the prices of both, you would know, like in the normal market, right?
Interesting. So coming to these questions, one of the important questions seems to be: can I grow spices in my terrace? Can I grow spices in my as a kitchen plant? And there are also questions on.
Yeah, so I think anybody who normally does terrace farming on their terrace, so one thing that can be grown easily is it's pepper, but pepper has to be grown as bush pepper. So basically, the basic difference is the cuttings of bush pepper is very different. So it is taken directly from the same pepper plant, but the part of the plant which is taken for like to create bush pepper is different. that is the major thing. And in case of bush pepper, many people grow it. Um, so when they require raw green pepper for their like spicing up, people who have like fish and things like that, they spice up the fish with raw green pepper. And in case of bush pepper, the good thing is it is there throughout the year. Like it keeps producing some berries or the other throughout the year. So which is a good thing with, so that's something that can be grown in the terrace. Then the other things, anything that does not grow as a tree, like that can be grown in terrace. But so in case of cardamom, the major problem with cardamom is that it grows only in a certain temperature and the soil conditions, and there's a lot of care that needs to be taken in case of cardamom. So cardamom, I'm not very sure if it can be grown on a terrace.
So,
So,
pepper, so pepper, should we just plant these seeds?
no, like there would be, so since this is not something that is overly treated, so so basically this will create a sapling, but this will become a creeper.
Okay.
Yeah, so so pepper is generally propagated from its cuttings.
Okay.
And one more thing is there's somebody who does a tissue culture of pepper, but then the tissue culture of pepper is from the raw pepper berries. It's not from any other part of the plant.
Because when Vignesh says in the chat box that farmers have started cultivating pepper in plains as an intercrop in coconut groves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that something different from what?
No, so pepper is grown like almost all over Kerala. Pepper is grown almost all over Kerala. So the thing is to find the right variety that suits your like geography, right? So and obviously the flavor of pepper would keep like changing from one place to the other. And if it is at a higher altitude, then definitely the say the flavor of that particular pepper would be much better than the ones which are grown in the plains. But then obviously you can use the other pepper as well. It's not a problem.
Maybe if you go too scientific, maybe the one in the hill will have a like in turmeric they say curcumin value.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they say. Is there something like the primary ingredient which they check in pepper which is high?
So there is an oil content associated with it mostly.
Oil content.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's also something, there's a question on if you get I think the pepper that, are you getting the pepper that where the oil content is removed?
In fact, this was one discussion happening in the evening. So when I got the clow, so one of my colleagues was trying to pinch it like this.
Okay.
Right. So when he pinched and smelled it and saw his finger, there is a little bit of an oil in it.
Yeah, all the spices and most of the beverages, like let me tell you, including tea, has an oil content like part into it, and even the fruit, some of the fruits also have. But so let's say with clove, when you say the oil, if the oil is removed or not, so these products are not sold as whole spices in the market. That is for sure. Like since some of it would come as broken, and like sorting that itself would cost a lot, since it is actually a waste from the like industries which produce like these oils, right? So there is no pepper. If you're buying whole pepper, generally there's no pepper that is available in the market after removing the oil content. So there may be pepper which is an imported pepper, which may not be of great quality. All those kind of things may happen, but generally pepper is not like after removing the oil content. As far as I know, I think only cinnamon can be sold as cinnamon. Rest of the things are not like sold after removing the oil content. But definitely there is a lot of import that is happening related to pepper. So when it comes to commercially growing pepper in Kerala, there are people who commercially grow pepper, but still they do not use a lot of chemical inputs into the plantation. If you use chemical inputs into the plantation, it's just the size of the pepper that keeps growing, but then it's not necessary that it is going to be of like the best quality, or even the one, like, I think when we say quality, we should just stick to maybe things that are grown without using any kind of chemical inputs. That itself will change the entire quality, flavor, and health benefits of any spice.
Interesting. So, I just had a question for the poll, trying to understand where we all buy spices from. Right. I just launched a poll. If everyone could answer this, we are trying to understand how do we all majorly buy our spices? Where, more than how the right question is, where do we buy our spices from? I think the poll is there in your screen.
Yeah.
Now, if you can, this is an anonymous poll as usual. So I won't know who is answering what, and we won't be trying to sell anything. Don't worry, and we won't be using your data for anything. It's just trying to understand how we as consumers behave. So far, it appears. Let's give it a little more minute. But yeah, this is a major question, Anu. I mean, like, ever since we started this discussion of spices, this I guess is true when we start discussing about any spice like chili, right? The chili which is grown in plains. Even that the question is, do the thing that we get at the retail shop somewhere, does it have all the properties that it had when it was harvested, or does people extract value out of it and leave us only trash? Right?
So I would say anything that comes as whole spices, in 90% of the cases, it is something that comes from a farmer through a trader. It is directly from the farm to an extent. It may not have gone into an industry and like after removing certain part of it, it comes back. It's generally not the case. But I would say that in case of a lot of value added products in, let's say, the masala mixes and powders that come like in the powder form or in any other form other than the whole spices, in that case there may be these kind of adulteration that happens, because to an extent that's also waste management for certain industries, right? It's not bad, but it may not give you the like expected health benefits or the flavor and taste and things like that. So that is one possibility which is there. And so I like to all the consumers, one thing which I would say is that it is like if you're looking at say like safe food and like good health benefits from the spices, any kind of spice for that matter, even if it is turmeric or anything, try to get it in the most raw form available. So like say cardamom, we can't sell green cardamom without drying. So dry cardamom, but try to get the whole cardamom. And one thing with, I think with cardamom, something that you can check by yourself is to like if it is slightly yellowish outside, like it may happen because it is an old cardamom also, but there's something called the late harvest yellow cardamom, right? So that is something that is harvested like so maybe like 10 days after the green ones are like it takes an extra 10 days to ripen. So it's actually the cardamom fruit. So that is like the best cardamom that you can get, but that may not be commercially available. But in case of any kind of cardamom, it's better like if you can just open it and see what is the color of the seed. So if the seed is going to be darker in color, it's not necessary it is going to be like extremely black, but if it is towards a darker brown color, then that is good cardamom. So there's nothing that is taken from it. The yellow ones would still like be a bit moist and things like that. So basically, that is some very simple test that you can do at your own house, like buy the cardamom, open it and see the seeds in it. Yeah, so that's one. And then if you will find the difference in flavor when you open it. So when you open it, you would get the smell. If it is fresh, it's not necessary. Every cardamom that does not give you a smell, it's not necessary it is bad. But the ones which gives you a like really good smell, that is going to be, that is fresh. That is definitely fresh. So anything that comes, I think if the like in case of cardamom, if the number of traders is less, like the number of middlemen, whatever we're saying. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but still, like in case the numbers are much higher, the time from harvesting and processing to reaching the consumer would be much, much higher. Like it will be longer. So if it is longer, then obviously, like so most of the spices would have a degradation in case of quality there. If you can reduce that time of like that time duration, then that would give you like much better quality of any spice.
Interesting. So, but any case, these spices don't grow throughout the year, right? So there is anyway a shelf life involved after it is harvested, and it needs to be stocked at home or somewhere. So,
Yeah. So yeah, in case of I think cardamom is something which is almost available throughout the year. Like some, like the quantities may differ, but then it's generally available almost throughout the year. And it's better. So for 1 year, it may not be too much of an issue if it is stocked properly. Stocked properly means like it's very simple. In case of all the spices, it has to be like stocked in an airtight container without, like it has to be an opaque airtight container. That's a major thing. Yeah.
interesting. And I'm just quickly browsing through the other questions that we have. There's one on the color. So, is there black cardamom, and why is it used for?
So black cardamom is something I think that grows in the Himachal area, the Himalayan side. It does not grow in south of India as of now. There may be people who are doing it for the commercial purpose, but like normally, naturally, it is not an indigenous product of this region. Yeah, it is used in a lot of masalas. It is used in a lot of like as whole spice in, I think, in biryanis and things like that. Yeah.
Similarly, there is this white pepper.
Yeah, so there is white pepper, but it is the same. Okay, so when the pepper is harvested, it is either dark. So when it starts growing, it is going to be light green. Then it when it matures, it becomes dark green. When it is completely ripe, it is red. So that is what happens on a pepper clove, right? So the pepper cloves are of these colors when you're harvesting from the same plant. So so what we do with, I'll tell you what is the process for making real white pepper, and also what happens on the other side when it comes to the ones which are not done in the right form. So so the red berries, the ones which are the most ripe pepper, so that is separated once the pepper is picked from the tree, it is separated. Only the red berries are separated. So that is the threshing for that is done just by tapping it with your hand. So it'll just come off. So that actually the red ones, if you dehydrate it directly, like without not under the sun, or yeah, if you can just put it directly into a dryer, it would just be red. Like when you dry it, it is just going to be red. But so this same red, we like tie it up in a maybe a bayonet or like any kind of like traditionally it is put in a jute bag. So the red berries are separated, put in a jute bag, and then dip it in water for like 2 days. And then obviously since it is a berry and the red skin of it, the fruit part of it, other than the seed, it would just easily come out after the second day. So towards the end of the second day, you just wash it and like sun dry it. That is like really good white pepper. That is your white pepper part of it. But so that would have the smell and flavor of pepper. Smell would be similar to the black ones, but the flavor means the spiciness, the chilliness of that pepper, it would be lesser than the black. And shelf life wise, black has much like higher shelf life than white. And now if I say about the other part of generally what is available like in the market so I would say that the cost of producing white pepper like in the traditional way without using any machines, Like we tried using the machines also, but then I mean that's not practically, it may not be too effective because the quantities may be too less. But if you're using the traditional method, your production cost itself would go to some 1,000+ rupees. That's like, that is with respect to the labor cost in Kerala, but still like it is more expensive than what you are actually buying white pepper for. So now what you see in a lot of places, I won't say everywhere, but I've seen it in many like supermarkets and others where they sell loose like pepper, and sometimes even the bottled ones and things like that. So most of it has a smell that we may not like. So if you just smell it, it has something of a spoiled food kind of smell. So that is because it is produced as per requirement from the dried black pepper. So this is also an experience, what I'm saying, because when I went to get the pepper, the white pepper processing, basically the washing, it is like a machine which just washes the pepper out and gets the white out of it. But when I went to like buy it, I have realized that the guy who is selling it had told me that this is fine, like you can just dry the pepper and keep the black pepper, take it out whenever you need white pepper, put it in water, add some detergent, and then you put it back and get the white pepper out of it. So that one uh, definitely has some chemicals that has gone into it, and that's not the right process. So that will have a lot of issues related to like mainly with flavor, and yeah, and even the shelf life of that is very, very low.
Oh,
So
okay.
that is why it's very cheap. So I think that is sold like in the market here for some 700 or 800 rupees. Like I can buy it from the market for that price.
Hmm. Interesting. So color seems to be a problem with all kind of foods, right? So yeah, people are still interested in growing pepper in the terrace, right?
Mhm.
Do you think our friends can grow it in Chennai?
Yeah, it grows in the lower ranges of Kerala for sure, but you can try it in Chennai as well. It's just that you should make sure that irrigation part, the amount of water that you are putting into the pepper is right.
Hmm.
It should not be too much water. Definitely not too much water for pepper or any of the spices. So in case of, even when we are doing it like as one plant or as 100 plants, the water content, water requirement of spices is very different from many other horticulture crops. Spices require very less amount of water, but in the right amount. That's very important. I think you should just like make sure that you're watering it once every day, but little bit. Yeah, that may help. Yeah, that may help to an extent.
Hmm. I think a lot of us should experiment in our own terrace and see if
Yeah,
it
yeah. So for
can.
sure, sure, sure. Yeah.
And Stalin has an interesting question. So he runs a small farm in Kimidi.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to adopt growing practices organically without exploiting the land.
Mm-hmm.
But the land has excess acidity and very low organic content. Uh, so I think this is a farmer to farmer question, but see if you want to take it.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I would say I think he said Kumali, right? I think
So
it's
it's
just like
basically
an hour.
from what it is to can you change an exploited land back to its vitality, right? Especially for cardamom cultivation. Any experiences from it?
Yeah, so one good thing would be like if he can just visit us, which is like we are just 1 hour away from Kumari. So that's one option. Like we are open to people who want to come and learn like organic farming. Like I would not say organic, but then like we follow zero budget natural farming even in case of cardamom.
Hmm.
Only zero budget natural farming, and that major thing with zero budget natural farming is that so when we create the basic thing Jivamritam, so we add a bit of soil from the same land where we are going to apply Jivamritam, right? So that itself has the microbes which is required for that particular space. So I think a good way is to rejuvenate the soil. It may take some time, like it may take 1 or 2 years, but that may be a good way of doing it, to rejuvenate the soil first and then start cultivation in that soil. And Jivamritam can actually help rejuvenate the soil other than any kind of external compost and things like that. And obviously, Jivamritam has to be made in his own place. That would help him for sure. Yeah, and definitely, like in detail, like we have done a lot of experiments related to cardamom. So definitely, if you want to visit us, we are welcome. Well,
Stalin, I will connect you to one.
sure.
Vignesh has a question. That's my interesting question also. So, how to make raw green pepper pickle? Any experiences in making pickles? No, from your
Pickles normally, yes, but I think it is just like salt brine solution. That is what goes into it, and vinegar. That is what I've seen generally, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
I'm interested because he says green pepper pickle.
Yeah,
So,
so that's commercially available. Like many, I've seen it in many of the shops and other places. Yeah, but I think this is what goes into it. But oh, definitely, he needs to ask somebody who knows food processing or somebody who's into this.
interesting, interesting. Uh, Anu, generally spices are like one is texture, I mean, like it's taste, aroma.
Hmm.
Other thing is its health benefit, right? Mostly
Yeah.
you associate spices with health. So, especially in these pandemic times, how do you, is there any extra demand for spice or what came out due to pandemic and this situation in spice?
So there's definitely a high demand for turmeric, which is true. Uh, like other spices, there is a demand, but if you think about the consumption of spices, it's generally in a very low quantity, right, per person consumption. So the demand mostly is like for spices is it's not too high, like it has not changed too much. But I would say the demand for vegetables like chemical-free vegetables, rice, and fruits, these things have gone up considerably. And yeah, we are trying to do that with the farmers here as well.
Yes, that is what we are also trying to facilitate. Like, that is how we got connected to you
Yeah, sure.
to get good quality spices without any chemicals, pesticides, and anything. Right. I'm happy that we are somewhere there now. Yeah. So, amongst us, there may also be people who want to get into farming, who want to start either in the plains or in the hills. Right? What is your advice to vulnerable farmers in this community? Yeah, I don't know.
So I would say do not spoil the soil. It's very, very important. Soil is very important when it comes to your farming. Do not destroy any microorganism that is there in that particular soil for sure. That will help you a lot. That is what I want to say. And it's also important to find out what is the kind of or the method of farming that like that can be done in that particular region, like for what is suitable for that soil, what are the inputs for that soil. That is important. Then I would say the crops, choose the crops wisely, like whichever grows there. Like let's say coconut is used everywhere in Kerala, but coconut does not grow here like at 1,000 meter height, right? So that it's like there's no point of like putting in a lot of effort into somehow getting some coconut out of a coconut tree. So like it's very important to understand what grows in that region, and then you can go ahead with like any method of farming that you want to do. There is a lot of methods which is associated with, like you sterilize the soil first and then you start putting things from outside whatever the like plant requires or certain crops that is required. That kind of farming can be done anywhere, but that is very, very expensive. One thing is that it's very quite expensive, and it may not be a permanent solution. If you want to keep the land for yourself, and if you want to like keep growing something or the other in that land, it is very important to make sure that your soil is in good condition.
Yes. Uh, it all boils down to soil and no. Right.
Yeah,
Like
it
the
does. It
nutrients
does.
in the soil is what our entire species is dependent on.
Sure, sure. That is for sure.
Interesting. Um, uh, Coming to, I mean, we have last few minutes. So I wanted to ask you, pepper or any spice in itself is not grown in the plains, right? So have you ever come across this question? Is it really required for people in the plains to consume spices, since it is not grown? Say for me, it is not grown in say 50 kilometers radius. So do you think it is really required for me? Any thoughts on it?
Um, it also, so it is something like, let me tell you, like your body type is different from the next person, who even somebody who is in your family, right? So like what you consume, like according to me, it completely depends on understanding your like health requirements and your body type and what you can digest and what you cannot and what fits you and what does not fit you. So I think anything that is grown, so when we are saying it is not grown in the plains, I don't know if 100 kilometers is going to make a lot of difference in calling it local. Yeah, so basically I think what you choose to consume is entirely up to understanding your own body and like what is your requirement associated with food.
Yes, yes, yes. Interesting, Anu. I'm just going to launch a final poll, right, for
Mm-hmm.
people to express uh, their understanding, their feedback on it. So, as we discuss it, Anu, right, mm, one thing that comes across is you started in the beginning, right? Like consume or buy whole spices and not a powdered format.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is a very important thing that we all took from your session, and also the question on where my food comes from, right? So I'm really happy holding these pieces of spices that I have got from you, because otherwise if I get it from some shop, okay, which is what I'm used to in the past, okay, I'm not really sure as to what is it, right? I always take it with a doubt of whether is it pure, or is it some second quality pepper which is coated with some oil to make it black, right? I completely understand your point on how food should be traceable. Right? Any advanced things on this traceability of food? No, have you come across how food can be traced to its origin?
Um, Not really, like so there's a lot of like most of the people who sell the products, they would already have the story written for it, like on the packet itself mostly, or on their brochure and things like that. It is important to check that. That is one part of it. Some of the sellers means people who are manufacturers or producers, they get it tested in labs for their nutritional value, and that's one way of understanding it. But any kind of certification may not be necessary. So some of the legally certain things require like certification, but it's not a necessity when it comes to, it's not necessary just because the product is certified, it is not necessary that it is going to be safe or it is going to be the best quality that is available. Major thing is like I think the major thing is on a person to person level and understanding like where it comes from, and that is to an extent that's the only way, because anything can be like manipulated and created into something else, right? So it can be like you can say that it's coming from Idiki, but then it's not necessary that it is uh, only coming from Idiki. If let's say that if it goes to a random trader other than just buying directly from the farmer, like it may not be just from Idiki, it may be from everywhere. It may be like a mix of every like pepper that is available.
Yes, yes, boils down to we knowing the source, and we end of the day it is people to people trust.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, no, from your session, I think we have a lot of people who have mentioned that, oh, I've shared the poll, yeah. So, a lot of people who have mentioned that their understanding about spices increased personally a lot for me. And a good 43% of people say that they are inspired by the speaker. Anu, you're doing an excellent job. I think you should keep this up and inspire
Thank you.
a lot more people. A few people have mentioned that we should have spent more time. We always feel this, friends. We always feel that we should spend more time. But I think we will continue keeping this to be an 1 hour slot, so that we all would be able to quickly take the time out from our busy schedules, right? Yeah. So I'm going to ask one last poll. Yeah, this is not an anonymous poll, right? So we have this difficulty of reaching out to you again when we run this such meetups again, right? I'm always confused. Should I send a WhatsApp to you or not? Will it be considered as a spam or is it okay, right? So we have started trying to get your concurrence on whether we can send emails or WhatsApp to you. This is not an anonymous poll. If you answer yes or no to us, we will get to know. If you answer yes, good, we will be able to send you further updates. If you answer us no, it's perfectly fine. We understand your privacy and we will not be sending you. It is anyway, all the things that we do is available in our Facebook community page. So you can join there and you can get the updates from there. I'm just sharing the community page link here. So that I should have done this before. Yeah. So this is our community page. If you want to join, you can join and keep yourself updated on the meetups that we do once in a week. Yes. Thanks a lot, Anu. I am going to ask you one last question. So assuming that you have only 30 minutes, 30 seconds of time to give some information, what would that be?
Yes. I was not able to hear. What did you ask?
Yeah, if we have only 30 seconds, okay, what will be that critical information that you will give to us on spot?
Oh God. I think like us consumers, like including me, let's say anything, if you're like if you are really concerned about your own health and your health related, anything that is related to yourself, like regarding the food that you're taking in, it's very, very important for you to do some research. Also find the right people to get anything from. Like, so there may be somebody who is producing something like little far away from you, but it's important for you to understand them and also find out like what you really want, what you're really looking for. It's basically spend some time to figure out how you want to consume your own food. Or maybe to if it goes to some other level, maybe you can even go and visit the farmers or people who are producing certain products. Like I have personally done that, so I can say that. Yeah, I think that's very, very important.
Thanks a lot, Anu. We all will try doing that as a community. We have become more aware about food now. We buy. I mean, like we have around 200 plus families now who buy groceries on a regular basis from our shop platform, which is Yadum. And on an average, there are around 400 plus people who have participated in all these webinars and got ourselves a little more better understanding about food and wellness. Right? You have facilitated one such session today, Anu. Thanks a lot. Nandrele friends, thank you for joining today. I'm looking forward for another interesting session with you all the next week, Friday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Anu.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krishnan, and everybody else who is part of this. Thank you.